Good evening, darlings. I received the following anonymous request, which says, "Forgive me for asking, Lord Thronduil. I mean not to be rude, but I do not know how the elven custom of this goes. Is it important for elves to have the child be born in wedlock, or is birth outside of that acceptable?" This is a very interesting question because, of course, as the elven custom dictates, the act of, how shall I put this delicately, because of course this is a family program, the act of consummating the marriage, of the man and woman coming together in a little bit of a physical, intimate sort of way, that actually is part of the wedding ceremony. That's considered sort of the final act of establishing the marriage. So it's sort of not possible to have a child out of wedlock. It by the very definition, the act that creates a child is the final act of becoming married. So, I think that's sort of it sort of takes care of that. Now, if we were to think of this sort of hypothetically, perhaps, if that wasn't the case, I think, children are incredibly important in elven societies. We don't tend to have a lot of children because of our long lifespan. There are, of course, great exceptions to this, particularly in the early ages, but more recently, having more than 1 or 2 children is sort of rare. 3 is the absolute max that you tend to even see these days, and so I think, what's important is that a child is sort of receiving a loving family support, and children are sort of an expression of a man and a woman's love. It's the physical embodiment of that. So I think even if the sexual act was not sort of a part of the marriage ceremony, I think having a child would be considered sort of a joining, a union between 2 people, to the point where I think it would sort of constitute, in a way, marriage. And I think that's sort of the whole meaning behind elven marriage, is that it is this union between 2 people. It's this coming together of 2 souls into one. And I think that's why, for us, the act itself is considered so integral to the marriage, because it's supposed to be the first time that you are truly sharing yourself with the other person. And so I think that's why it's so important for us as elves. So I hope that answers your question, darling. And of course, if you have any more, feel free to ask. So until next time, ta-ta.